Hey guys, welcome to Reflections of a Honeybee. It's me, Coco Mel. Today, I just want to say that the topic for today is about being single. And I think it's important for people to be single, especially if you've been in like a long relationship, or if your relationship is really serious. Maybe even just a quick relationship. I think that anything that makes you feel like you need to be somebody else, or I don't know, if it drains you of your energy, there's lots of reasons that I feel like people should be single. Like in between relationships, at least. Well, if it's not in between relationships, then what really is it? I think relationships can be beautiful, and they can actually be good for you. If you're with the right person, then it should be unstoppable. It should be an unstoppable situation. Maybe not should be, but it's beautiful when it is. But when you're in between relationships and you just need a break, and you break up with the person that you've been with, take a break. I don't care if it's 1 year, 3 years, at least a year, okay? Take a break until you feel comfortable that you're going to be all right taking a break. Because I've learned that most people, once we break up, there's so many things about relationships that make it hard to stay single. Because it feels so good when you got somebody to hug and kiss on you, or somebody to check on you in that relationship type feeling way. Or you got people who bring you lunch or flowers, or you're doing all these special things with people. I think taking a break is one of the most important things that you can do for your health and for the health of the people around you, really. Anybody that might come into a relationship with you should not be, and if they're not willing to wait for you, and when I say wait for you, I don't mean like they're just sitting there asking you every single day, are you ready, are you ready? Because that's not a person that you want to be with. But, and this is disclaimer, I'm not a professional, so please just take what I say as my opinion and take it with a grain of salt. I am not a pro, and I am not giving advice. It's for your entertainment. I suppose I'm supposed to say something like that, but it literally is like you can listen, but you don't have to. Of course, it's your decision. But yes, being single is like, the reason I say this is because when we break up with people, especially if we really enjoyed that relationship at one point, or even if it was very turbulent and you couldn't walk away. Walking away from a relationship is just phenomenal for some people, because I have seen some things. People will stay in relationships far too long and know that it's far too long, and they can't imagine being without this person, even though this person is not a good person. And some people have to find out a really hard way, or even worse, because they couldn't walk away from a relationship. And breaking up and being single are muscles that we need to flex. And make it clear, like when you're dating somebody, don't even allow a person to do things that you don't like. Don't be afraid to walk away and take away your availability to them. Don't give them access to you. It should not have access to you if they do things that you don't like, even if it's petty things that's like, okay, really? But the thing about it is, if this is what you don't like and you're not going to accept that, just imagine if you were married for 30 years. If this person was doing that thing, would you want to be with them? Or could you, well, I guess I can't put that into perspective because, of course, you're going to get tired of certain things during that time period. And I have no information about being in a relationship for that long, especially not a marriage. But what I can tell you is the health benefits of being single. Not tied to anyone. Nobody to have to change your days around with. And a lot of people, I'm speaking from an introverted, shy person type of situation, so I didn't like going out and all that stuff in the first place. That's why singleness fits me. But it also is because there's a certain level of high that comes with being in a relationship. When you're in a relationship, if it's a bad relationship, you always think to yourself, like, I need to end this. But when it ends, you start thinking about things like, is that person with somebody else? Or did they even love me? And you start thinking about different things that make you feel like you should just get back in a relationship with them and just deal with it, just so that nobody else can say that. Nobody else can say that you're in a relationship with them, or just so that you can say that you are in a relationship with them. And let me say, it's not worth it, really. I was in an abusive type relationship, and I had to pray for what I needed and not what I wanted. Like, every day, that was my prayer. Please give me what I need and not what I want. If they don't align, then so be it. Because if I didn't need this person in my life and I knew that they were hurting my feelings and stuff, because sometimes we cannot see. If I have to cry every single day when I talk to you, then it's not a good relationship. And so that's what I did. I started praying for what I needed and not what I wanted, because you shouldn't have to cry every day. You don't want to try to replace this person either, though. Because first of all, you cannot. You'll always compare the person that you're in the next relationship with that person, and it's not going to be the same, because there's a level of love and attachment that goes with that ex person that your new person won't be able to live up to, and which diminishes your relationship with them, because you can't even be happy with them as much, because you'll be thinking, especially if you got into a relationship being spiteful, that means you'll be so fake. You'll be so fake with the new person so that they will just be in love with you, and then they'll do anything for you. But then they become annoying because they do all this stuff, and when you're not trying to look a certain way to everybody else, because you also, especially if it's a relationship where you got done wrong and it was a scandalous relationship, somebody cheated on you or something, you're going to be putting extra into the new relationship just to make the old relationship look like it didn't even matter, like you just moved on. Because everybody knows when you move on, that's like very hurtful to the person that you were with. And so yeah, stay single for a while. Give yourself a chance to get the next relationship right. Because another thing is that sometimes when we're in relationships and a lot of things are happening that make us sad, we have to realize that sometimes it's just that person's reaction to maybe some type of hurt that they felt that we gave them. And we didn't realize it, because if you're a woman in a relationship with a man and he's hurting, he's not going to tell you. And if he does tell you, he might tell you in a way that isn't very straightforward, or you might even get a kick out of knowing that somebody likes you enough. I don't know. That's just a guess. Knowing that somebody likes you enough and you want to feel like you're somebody important to them. So, kick them while they down type of thing. But I don't know. We take relationships for granted, but we also put them on a pedestal too. And sometimes that is what ruins us. So be single for a while. Question yourself. Do an interview with yourself. Find out, who am I without this person? Who was I before this person? What difference has it been in my life since I broke up with them? You have to give these things time too, because being single for a month, a week, even 6 months isn't enough time sometimes, especially if you've been in a deep relationship that maybe took years, and maybe kids are involved, or maybe you're really close with the family members or something like that, so you'll see them all the time, and like, to the point where no matter what they did, you could be friends with them. Think about that. And you have to be single sometimes long enough to know that you are who you say you are. Not because you just been out of a relationship for this long, and you can't find out the problems that you were having in your relationships that might be because of you. Or maybe the problems that were in a relationship that weren't because of you, but if they came up in the next relationship, how would you address that? Like, what level of tolerance do you have for the things that made you upset in the past relationships that you won't allow in your next relationship or your future relationships? This is important. People don't understand that those time lapses between people are very important, because just imagine, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't like hearing stuff like this. They like saying things like, I don't need to be alone, I don't need to be single, I'm fine, I'm this, I'm that. And I don't know. Especially if you were actually in your relationship and you weren't just pretending to be in a relationship, because maybe some people don't really care. Maybe some people care, but they can just let go. Like nothing happened, and move forward or move on or whatever. But if you're a person that's emotionally disturbed or upset, or if you're ultra attached to the person that you were in a relationship with, if you're having a hard time sleeping alone in a bed, if you're not used to that, or if going out with people, you go out with people just to find somebody else, or you just go out with people because you trying to do something to keep yourself occupied, which is not exactly an issue, but it can become an issue. You have to sit with yourself and figure out who you are. I think I'm saying a lot of the same things. It's very important, though. This is my opinion, because I realize that there's like a phase of in-between relationships that you're like, okay, I'm done being bored. And so now you start looking, or you become available for another relationship. But did you really do the work that you needed to do coming out of that relationship? You may have sat down for a little bit, and you might have even been busy for a little bit. That doesn't necessarily mean that you were single long enough. It might have just been that you were occupied enough that being single wasn't an issue. You have to be single so long that it's so uncomfortable and sad sometimes, even, until it gets to the point where it's preferred, and that when you decide to be in another relationship, you don't just say, ooh, that person is this and that, and I want to be with them. You actually have thought some things out. You may have even written down what you want in your relationship, some things that you tolerate and don't tolerate, and the person that you're going to be no matter what this person is. So that's my thoughts on relationships. On being single, actually. Not relationships, because like I said, I'm not talking about relationships, I'm talking about being single. That's my thoughts on being single. People say so being single ain't for everybody, and there is some people that think I am just absolutely crazy. Like, come on, man. Like, there's no way you've been single for that long. Like, I feel like it's sad when people can't just sit back and not be with somebody for long. They put up with so much bullcrap and being mad and underappreciated and just stepped over and all kind of things. And not all relationships are like this. So please just let me be speaking for the one, especially abusive relationships. There is no reason to stay in an abusive relationship. I don't give a damn if there's kids, if there's close family members, if you have some kind of arranged marriage or any of that. There should not be abuse in a relationship, period. Because sometimes that shit ends deadly. Jealousy, anger, all the things. And sometimes it's just, I don't know, you worry yourself so much, you get sick. And I don't know. Some people are not, some people should not be in relationships. And I'm speaking of people who can't keep their hands to themselves, or who can't keep the something else to themselves. That's how I feel about it. One thing I've learned about people in relationships that are abusive, people who are abusive in relationships rather, is that they know they're usually great manipulators, okay? They usually know exactly what to say and what to do to any particular person that they're in a relationship to make them feel like it was just once, or it's not going to happen again, or you shouldn't be so angry in your relationship that you feel like you should choke somebody out or slap somebody around or punch somebody or whatever the case may be, because some things are just verbal. Verbal abuse is still abuse, okay? Trying to control someone, abuse. Being that type of person that's like, I can go out, but you can't. Abuse. Even if it's not physical, it might not even be verbal. But it's still saying that what I want matters and what you want doesn't. Like, as a matter of fact, you don't even deserve to want anything. You have me. I'll give you everything you want and need. Financial abuse is abuse. Okay? Don't need that. There's somebody, and there's probably somebody around watching that's thinking, she deserves so much better, or he deserves so much better. Don't let them people into your life, but if there's probably somebody sitting back thinking that and wishing that they could help you. Sometimes you got to set yourself up in a way that you give yourself reasons to want to break up with a person, right? Like, you might be like the type of person that can't imagine if a person cheats on you. You could talk to me crazy and all that, but if you cheat on me, it's a done deal. So put yourself in a position to be cheated on. If you're in a relationship that's abusive or whatever, if you need that extra push to get out of that relationship, that is, because that's a little bit extreme, but whatever. Just know when it's time to leave. That's really the bottom line. Know when it's time to leave, and then know how long is your time. Because although it's been over a decade since I've been in a relationship, and almost a decade being celibate, I know that if I was in a relationship right now, I've been alone too long, and I'm not ready to not be single. And it wouldn't work out because I would probably be looking for a reason to make it not work. I would be looking for every flaw. I still have trust issues. That's one thing that I could say I haven't found the benefit of being single yet, because if you're single, you haven't put yourself in a position to have things like to have trust for somebody, or other things. I don't think you need to be in a relationship to find that, though. You also have to be careful, because in the beginning, I found everything. Anytime somebody said something bad about their relationship, in the back of my mind, I was thinking like, yep, that's why I'm single. But I don't feel like that anymore, because I feel like every relationship has its challenges, and it's up to you to decide what is tolerable and what's not. Nobody else should be able to tell you that. You shouldn't have people trying to sway you to break up or be in a relationship with someone. But you should also be cautious of the relationships that you're in, or even just being around certain people. I don't think that's what I was going to say, but I'm going to keep it right there. Because I actually decided a long time ago, even when I first became single and stopped dealing with people, that I wasn't going to be in another relationship until I was a better person. Because I did find fault in myself from the relationships that I was in. I don't deny that. I think everybody should look in the mirror when they think of their bad relationships. Sometimes the bad part about the relationship that you had to deal with, that you contributed to, is just allowing a person to treat you the way that you did not want to be treated. Because you walk away from those kind of relationships feeling bitter. Like you hate that person or that situation or that particular gender or whatever, when the truth is that you have to set your ground rules in the very beginning and keep reiterating those throughout the relationship, and stand on your decisions to not tolerate it. Don't tell somebody, I will not tolerate you cheating on me, and then them with that information, see, because I don't play that, them with that information, you gave them what they needed to know, and if they go and cheat on you, that was the risk that they were willing to take. Especially if you have to find out from somebody else, or some kind of deceitful, not so cool way. Especially like me, I found out that the person, my ex, when I moved in with him, he wasn't my ex. He actually had proposed to me. But we were on bad terms because he's a mean person, and I had just lost my brother literally like a month before this happened, and he's telling me, I'm on the floor, he kicks me on my feet like, how you doing? And I'm just like, I rolled over. And then he said something slick or whatever, and I'm just like, he's the type of person, he was mad that I wasn't coming to him with my information, like how my emotions and stuff like that, so he treated me wrong. He wouldn't let me leave home or anything. But anyway, I gave that ring back. But I decided, I forgot what I was going to say about that. But I decided I wasn't going to deal with that. There was more to that story, because then he did get abusive. After dealing with him on and off for like 15 years at the time, and I knew he was an abusive person. He used to talk about it, and people used to talk about it. And I just felt like I was special because he had never even tried to put his hands on me. He was always verbally and emotionally abusive, but when he finally did, I left, okay? And I have not looked back. Anyway, I gotta get in this building. Talk to you later. Thank you for watching.